Dean Curry here, Fantasy Football RSVP. So let's get right to it with late waiver wire. Friday's report is out. Saturday's report is out. Sunday's early report is out. And I want to talk about waiver wire because I'm getting a slew of questions very, very late in the game. People are asking me, do I play Devontae Parker? And to tell you the truth, I really don't know. Because the thing is Parker is healthy and you're putting him against guys like Samuel or this one or that one, Amendola. I mean, it's definitely Parker. But see, the thing is they try, teams is what they do, is they try to hold back as much information as they can. It'd be great if they had to be more strict on for fantasy football players. Not that it revolves around us, but we're a huge source. And I'm not saying teams should necessarily give away their game plans and stuff like that, but as far as like the injury reports, they should be required to be more forthright. I mean, look, you play a team, you play their best players. Teams should know what they're going up against. And the teams should be more forthright with the injury reports. Some teams, some coaches understand that. They understand people are playing them. But, people are asking me about Devontae Parker. And I don't know how bad his concussion is. I don't know if he's risking playing out there and shouldn't be out there. And, or if it was like really, really mild, concussion. If he's cleared to play, I want to play the guy, but, everyone knows when it comes to injuries and things like concussions. I'm a rehabilitation specialist, personal trainer, licensed massage therapist. I've been dealing with post-rehab a long time. All it takes is one hit and he's out of the game. I mean, pretty much that's what happened last game before he had the concussion. Now he has a concussion. So as far as guys like that, Shepard, Cooks, guys that are playing with, those type of injuries, if you have, maybe an A.J. Brown or, who's healthy and playing well with Tannehill, I would take Parker over him if he was healthy. But, you don't want to put up a zero. And, some people played Parker last week and he didn't have a concussion then, but he put up a zero. And the chances are one big hit, he could put up a zero, and you don't really want to do that. So if I had a John Brown who's not on concussion protocol or an A.J. Brown, I would probably, I'd like to play Parker over both of them, but, with this concussion, and I don't know, people ask me, would you play him? He's cleared. I don't know, because I don't know about the concussion. But what I do know is one hit, and he could be out of the game. And it doesn't even have to be a big hit. And that's not the risk, I'm, trying to take. So yeah, I would take Devontae Parker absolutely over those two, but especially in the matchup against the Giants and the matchup that Brown and AJ Brown have, both Browns. But the fact of the matter is we're speculating on injury, and everyone that follows me, watches me, listens to me, I always talk about staying away from injuries because a lot of times you're going to get burnt on that. You might be able to, it depends on the injury now, like someone like Derrick Henry, I'm playing. He's been complaining about his hamstring, all year long, and he keeps putting up big numbers. I think it's just sort of like a maintenance thing. So something like that, I would just play Henry. As far as Jacobs, let me throw this in here before I get to some late waiver wire changes. And, I'm not really big on making last minute, changes to your lineup. Your lineup, unless there's like an injury or, someone's out late. And that's why I do this. But, a lot of times people are asking me like an hour or two before the games go off. And I've always been one of those people that you should know who you're playing unless there's like an injury, like someone's out and it requires a late switch. But I'm not really, big on late switches because people tend to get a little anxious before the games, and it clouds your judgment a little bit. And you usually the guy you pick to begin with on Saturday day or Saturday night to play Sunday, or if it's a Thursday night, the guy you pick Tuesday or Wednesday. Usually when you were in a calm, rational state of mind, you pick this person for a reason. But then you start getting close to game time and things speed up a little bit. People generally get anxious. And those are usually, those types of decisions are usually with clouded judgment. They work against you. So I'm not really big, but I got so many, a slew of questions this morning, and people ask me about guys like Henry, Parker, injuries. And I just want to be, kind of clear on that. Henry's a go. Parker, I'm not saying don't play Parker. I'm just saying it's risky. I'd like to play Parker in the matchup, but he cleared concussion protocol. But don't forget, he didn't come back into the game. He had concussion protocol. He was out of the game like immediately, and all of a sudden he had a miraculous recovery. I don't know if I'm buying anything like that. Maybe they just want him to play. He was getting an extension, so we'll just have to see on that. As far as the waiver wire is concerned, we're going to kind of roll through this pretty quickly. Sony Michel, as far as Michel's concerned, I direct my comments towards standard. Towards PPR. I don't do two videos, one standard, one PPR. Just make the adjustment. But they're always geared to. He's more of a standard player. Doesn't really catch the ball. And, you just don't want to, people asking me about Charles White all this morning. What do you think? And Charles White, he's a good player, but I've seen, weeks, I won't mention the weeks now where he puts up low numbers. And, then he consistently gets, people are like, yeah, but he's pretty safe. He's not always safe. He had a couple of low numbers this year, and you don't want to get stuck with that. It's too hard to figure out outside of Edelman what they're going to do. Somebody was asking me about Brady playing this week. I've been staying away from Brady all year. It's not a bad play this week, but it's just they don't require him to throw 5 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns. That's kind of not how they play right now. And so, his numbers have been, pretty bad. I mean, I was telling people to pick, Fitzpatrick over Brady. You never think, quite to do that, or Tannehill. It just, it hasn't been a fantasy producer now. But Michel, as far as Michel's concerned, PPR is not really going to be that reliable. Charles White, same thing. He might get you double digits. Not crazy about either then, because it's a guessing game. Tevin Coleman, he's coming back. Everyone, I've been talking about him. Not really big on it. Carlos Hyde, same thing. His numbers have been coming down. Actually, the offense has been struggling a little. I like to play trends. When an offense is struggling a little, I like to back off a team when they're starting to come on, like with Gurley coming on with the Rams offense. I've been telling people for weeks and weeks and weeks about Woods. He's a strong finisher. People were really down on Woods, and I was telling everyone he's going to finish strong, and he is. And people are still asking me this morning, what do you think about Woods? I'm like, well, how many weeks in a row does he got to produce for you before you start to believe in him? The offense is waking up. Gurley's starting to get the ball. Goff is looking better. I mean, we don't know, Cooper Kupp, is he playing injured? He doesn't quite look the same. Woods, to me, is a great play. But people are, asking me. I love the questions and stuff. But, when you see a trend like that to me is a gimme. I'm not even hesitating on Woods. I'll put him right in my lineup. I'm thinking twice about it. And there's been weeks he's been putting down, but he's been trending. When guys are trending, you play him. It's that simple. And let me tell you something about the playoffs, okay, that is going to work out. There's lots of times I give people advice, and their teams are like third, fourth, sneak into the playoffs and do well, and I set them up for the playoffs. One thing I tell people is, play big names in the playoffs. I know Mixon is going up against the Patriots, But Mixon has been trending up, and he's been doing well against good defenses of late. We all know he was struggling, not his fault in the beginning of the year with offensive line problems, so on and so forth. Um, but, people are asking me about, playing Laird from Miami, who had one good week. And, Miami's always playing from behind. They don't really use the running game. They kind of used it a little last week in a tough matchup. Laird put up good points, and everyone's ready to jump on Laird. And I'm not saying he's not going to have a good week. But one thing I've learned, why I've excelled in the playoffs, I'm not saying just for myself, but the advice I give people, I'm like, you play the big names in the playoffs. These guys come up big. I remember, Julio Jones was like kind of struggling. I'm like, this last four, he's going to wake up. They're going to play Julio Jones at the end of the season. Sure enough, he came up big. This is what happens year after year after year. When it comes to fantasy playoffs, you don't want to play a large, sit a big name like Mixon. And Mixon would have had a huge year. It wasn't his fault, offensive line. But the thing is like people will sit a big-time player for an upstart that had one good week, and then if it doesn't work out, look, Laird is going up against a weak Giants defense. Yeah, on paper it looks great, but what happens if Mixon has a big day and you're sitting there holding the bag saying, I didn't play the big, I didn't play. You're sitting there with regret, and I understand the Patriots defense are playing well, and Laird could certainly outpoint Mixon, but honestly, I'm going Mixon. I'm saying I'm playing my big name, and that has worked for me as far as giving advice to people for a very, very long time. At the end of the season, the big names come up. And you have to look at trends. Mixon's trending right now, so you want to play that. Jordan Howard, we're not going to discuss him. Really, talking about the, what's going on with Philadelphia is the same as New England. It's hard to know. Game script, maybe they'll go, to the new running back. Everyone's saying play Miles Sanders or Howard, the other one they have in there. And it's just like, it's such a guessing game, when it comes to running backs. They change their mind every, week there. It's hard to speculate which one's going to do well. I try to stay away from all of them, including Sanders. PPR, maybe he'll get some catches. But, you play him, and then he has a week like he did last week and week 4, and they have the new guy in there. It's just ridiculous. It's hard to understand. Cohen, no. Murray, no. McCoy, maybe. Breida, well, we're not going to do, Breida because Mostert right now, a lot of people are afraid to play Mostert right now. And I understand that. He had one good week. Like Laird, the difference is, Miami doesn't really run the ball. They did a little last week, but the 49ers do. They run the ball. They like to run the ball. And they have a really good offensive line. And they get leads, and they protect leads. And Mostert was, a lot of people don't realize, he was named the number 1 back. Does that mean he's going to get all the carries? No, but it means he's going to get a majority of the carries. And this guy's been producing with, minimal, carries. So I really like Mostert, and a lot of people asked me about Mostert this morning, but is super, super hesitant, and then they want to bench Mixon, and it's just like, and play Laird. And I'm just like, Mostert, out of those 3, someone asked me today about that. That's an easy one, I like Mixon and all, but Mostert to me is easily over Laird or any one of those guys. I think he's going to have a big week. Nothing's guaranteed. I say things, not always right, you know what I mean? I'm going to be right more than I'm wrong, a lot more. But I like the play of Mostert right now. The coach likes him. The guy's averaging like 6 yards per carry. I mean, but people are, hesitant. But he was named the starter. So I think he's going to have a pretty good week. Jamal Williams. Peterson might get you some yards. Scarborough, not really. Penny, people were asking me about Carson. And I'll just kind of combine this to waiver wire and maybe some starters, because a lot of people are worried fantasy playoffs. Connor is again, it's an injury. People are asking me, is he going to play? One thing I've come to realize is that if they play a running back, they're usually going to showcase him. That's just what they do in Steeler land. So if Carson starts and he's going to play, I think he's going to play. But again, one big hit and he could be out. And that's something you got to think about, if you want to take that chance. Do I think he's going to play? Personally, I think that the coach should be coach of the year. All the injuries they've had, and they still have a winning record, 8-5. Tomlin's an unbelievable coach. You know, but I feel pretty comfortable starting him if they're going to start him. So it's just something to think about. That would put the other guys on the bench: Benny Snell, Gore, Williams, DeAndre. And people asking me about Jacobs this morning. Again, injured, but if Jacobs is going to play, if you got to understand Tomlin, you have to understand Gruden. They're hard-nosed coaches. But one thing I do know about them, if they think that their player is going to get injured, especially running backs. Wide receivers, they might chance, with certain injuries. But running backs with shoulders, they'll be a little bit more careful. And one thing I've noticed about Gruden studying from years, Tomlin studying from years, if they start their running back with an upper body injury, usually they're going to play him, showcase him. The reason why they didn't play him the other weeks is they didn't think they could carry the load, and that's how those two coaches are with running backs. You just got to know the coach. So, I could be wrong, of course. I don't even like to say that because everyone could be wrong. But the thing is if they're starting Jacobs, I'm playing Jacobs. The same thing, for the Steelers. As far as that's concerned, that's pretty much it. A very tight waiver wire. People asking me about Boyd. Do I think Boyd will have at wide receiver a decent week? Sure. Metcalf has been producing. It's risky, but he's been producing. If you got nothing else, you could certainly roll with them. Samuel, I'm not big on Samuel. People have been asking me all season long. He's not terrible. I'm not big on it. Fuller, that's chancy because he's if he's in, you could roll the dice with him. But how injured, is he? He's going to play. I might have a big week. Mike Williams is go big or go nothing. He's a big play guy. He's not going to get a lot of catches, so it's boom or bust. And I've been kind of staying. I like his development. I think Mike Williams might be someone to really think about next year. He's got a little get. This guy is one of the best jump ball receivers in the game right now. I watch him play. I'm like, this guy ever learns how to run routes, he's going to be lights out. He might be a sneaky sleeper pick for next year because I have a feeling, he stepped up again this year, and I think he's going to, step up again next year and really get down his routes. He's starting to become someone really dangerous. As far as now, though, he's not getting the targets. He's not getting the receptions. He's capable of a big play. He gets them a lot. But, I don't know if you want to take that chance in the playoffs. As far as playoffs concerned, you got to get points. A lot of people ask me what's my strategy. My strategy is who's going to give me, if I have a guy that's going to give me, not guarantee, but like pretty much, he's going to give me 12 points, maybe 14 points as a wide receiver in PPR, and it's almost like dropping the bucket versus a guy like, let's say, an OBJ this year that could have 22 or can have 6. I'm going to take in the playoffs the guy, I'm a little more conservative in the playoffs than I am during the season. I take a lot more chances. But I like to go a little more conservative in the playoffs because I find that people sometimes make mistakes in the playoffs and they take chances they shouldn't. And a lot of times what happens is those guaranteed points actually went in. To be sound, calm, and make conservative points and stay away from the boom or bust players like a Mike Williams or an OBJ, Odell Beckham. And I like those players, but I'd rather go with someone, somewhere in the middle range, like a John Brown is a perfect example. He's probably going to get you 5 or 6 catches, maybe a little more. He's going to have targets. He's going to get you anywhere from 50, 60, 70 yards. Almost guaranteed that guy gets you 12 to 14 points. And who knows, maybe he'll throw in a touchdown, but he's solid. And I'd rather play that than a boom or bust, player and you're looking to like demolish people. That's not really what wins. Really a lot of people make mistakes in the playoffs, more often than not. And it's conservative, sound-based thinking that actually makes you win. As far as the other people moving a little quickly, Shepard, a little iffy with him. I kind of, you know, kind of like Slayton a little bit more than Shepard, although Shepard's always capable of a big game. I just kind of like the way Slayton has been running his routes, and he's actually been coming on a little bit. If you have nothing else, because Slayton, he can sometimes get you those points, but with Eli, you're trying to figure that out. Marquise Brown, he's a guy that sometimes is somewhat consistent, maybe 4 or 5 catches, 40, 50 yards. He's actually been trending up lately, so I like him a little bit more than I liked him 4 or 5 weeks ago. In fact, the whole offense is trending up. Everyone knows that I like trends. Terrell Williams, Jamison Crowder, not huge. I kind of like Robbie Anderson a little bit more than Crowder. Everyone's talking about Crowder's week. He didn't have a good week. He caught 2 touchdowns, but if you minus out those touchdowns, it wasn't a huge week. I kind of like Robbie Anderson a little bit more. As far as Deebo Samuel, his numbers are going down. Now the guys are getting healthy. I'm kind of staying away from him. Gordon, Pascal. People were asking me, Hilton's a game time decision. I'm not huge on playing Pascal in this type of situation, or Cobb, or Beasley. Corey Davis, no. Washington. Anthony Miller, strangely, I don't want to recommend him, but the guy has been trending. In fact, the whole Chicago Bears offense has been trending up. Trubisky's playing better. The offense is playing better. They're starting to roll. Miller's starting to put up consistent numbers. 4 or 5 weeks ago, I would have said, no, don't play him. He's kind of boom or bust. Now he's starting to become kind of consistent. That might be worth a shot if you have, no other players going on. Amendola is the type of guy that might... if you have no other play, he's the type of guy. But with Detroit and the quarterback, I don't really trust it. But he's the type of guy that normally would get you those, in between type of points. Almost guaranteed points. Pettis, Kute, we're getting into a little no man's land there. And tight ends very quickly. Rudolph's trending down. Witten's actually been pretty consistent this year. I don't know. Everyone's asking me about O.J. Howard all of a sudden. To tell you the truth, I haven't been big on him all year, and there's no way I'm trusting him in playoffs. It's just that simple. I think he's a good player in a different offense. They just don't utilize the tight end that much in that offense, and I don't really kind of know what's going on with Winston and his injury. So Dallas Goedert, this guy, if you're struggling at tight end, and you want a guy that's going to get you 4 catches and maybe 40 or 50 yards and maybe close to 10 points, and you don't want to, risk it. Dallas Goedert's a guy who's been doing it all year, getting anywhere from 4 catches to 3 catches to 5 catches, getting 40, 50 yards, he's hovering around 10 points. Sometimes that's better than, risking on nothing. I mean, he's almost guaranteed going to get you, something almost, people asking me about Higbee, and if, Everett's out, and I believe Everett is out, I think it's a good play. He's trending. He's getting catches, every 2 weeks in a row. In fact, the whole offense, and if Kupp is, people are asking me about Kupp, don't really know about the injury, what's going on there. I like Woods. I'd play Kupp if he's in my lineup. I'm not going to play Kupp. I'm going to play him. And I like Higbee, especially if Kupp is a little banged up. That only spells well for Higbee. He's a little more versatile than Everett. I like him. As far as Noah Fant, again, you're dealing with an injury. If Noah Fant had 100 yards before he went out the other day, I don't know how many points he would have put up. He is definitely trending up, but what's going on with the injury, that's risky. It's risky only because he's injured, but I really like him. Someone to watch for next year. As far as any Gesicki, Gesicki and Njoku, I wouldn't fill. Where All right, so we'll pretty much stop, there. Jasicki, I've liked Jasicki all year. I've been talking about him all year. He's been getting numbers all year. They're playing from behind. They utilize the tight end in offense. I like him. If you got no other play, I would go Jasicki. And, just remember, make sound decisions. Be careful of last minute, subs. It's the bug that comes in, starts whispering in your ear. Should I switch him? Should I switch him? Usually, personally, for myself, I never do it. For advice, I tell people don't do it, unless there's like a late injury or you hear something. And then that is something that you might have to make an adjustment if you're healing, or you hear a coach say he's on a limited snap count, things like that. But you got to be careful that last minute decision making when the fantasy football gods start whispering in your ear. I don't know if you really want to kind of do that, you know what I'm saying? So I want to wish everyone the best. Week 15, we'll be talking all year long. We'll be talking in the playoffs right up to the Super Bowl, and the XFL as well. And I want to wish everyone a tremendous week. One-on-one advice always on our website. You can just go there and sign up, subscribe to the channel, become a patron. And I just want to wish everyone a fantastic holiday season. It's been great answering your questions. I'm always here. Dean Curry, President Founder, Fantasy Football, RSVP. Subscribe to the channel. So have yourself a wonderful day.